Welcome to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by thesoberclub.com. I'm Janie Lee Grace. This is for you if you've quit the booze or you'd like to, or maybe you're just sober curious. I'll bring you tips and motivation without any judgment, and there'll be inspiration from experts, quit-lit authors, and sober heroes. Hi, and welcome to the podcast. I hope you're well. As I record this, it's just before I'm heading off to Florida. So as you listen to this, I'm in Florida speaking at the Amplify Voices Sober Life Rocks conference. So I hope I'm having a good time. So obviously reckon this before I go. Look forward to telling you all about it next week. Absolutely love doing these events because it's just so great, isn't it? Being around people who have quit the booze and are focusing on all the positive stuff. And if you are early days, I have to say this, maybe you're only 3 weeks in or something to dry January, and honestly, keep doing it. It's the best thing you'll ever do. I had a client just before I came away who she signed up for sober coaching with me. She signed up for like a 6-week package with me, and she has now been sober for a couple of weeks, and just so many amazing benefits that she's noticing, and so many things that she was not expecting. And I just love it. I love it when clients share this stuff with me. And she was saying there was one little piece of what she said, which I just thought it's really worth sharing. All the usual stuff. She's sleeping much better. She knows her skin looks better. She's little aches and pains have cleared up. She's just feels like her digestive health has changed. She feels sort of happier, and she's having more fun. She can remember stuff. She was saying how amazing it is to be chatting to people, and she can remember the conversation for the night before, all of these things. She's got more energy, more vitality. And then she said, she said, what I hadn't realized was that this is about so much more than not drinking. She said, I'm getting this little sense that I've never had before, this sort of feeling in my tummy of sort of joy and contentment. And I thought, yes, that's exactly it. It's really hard to, if we could bottle that and sell it, we'd be super rich, wouldn't we? But the reality is, the answer is it's not at the bottom of a bottle. It's literally quitting alcohol that allows you to come back to that sense of who you really are and start to feel that sense of excitement and joy and taking care of yourself, wanting to actually like yourself, wanting to be authentic, rather than, where this particular client was a few weeks ago, which was in a place of feeling kind of guilty and a bit ashamed at what was going on and really not liking herself at all. Just flip from that in 2 weeks. It's literally unbelievable the difference it makes. So if you're early days, please keep going. Just do this and reach out for support. Join us in the Sober Club, or reach out and get some sober coaching. I've got a couple of slots. I train people to be sober coaches. There's support and help out there. And on that note, I'm going to be chatting to Gillian Cockburn, who is one of the coaches who trained with me, who's doing fantastic things. Going to be chatting to her a little bit later about the stuff that she does. And of course, I want to remind you that if you are interested in sober coach training, obviously, if you've been sober for a while and you've now got that sense of, I'd love to inspire other people, I'd love to do this rewarding work, then join us for a free webinar. It's next week. It's Wednesday, 21st of January. Wednesday, 21st of Jan at 7:30. You do have to register for the webinar. It's completely free. It's not a sales pitch. We're going to have a look at what might align for you. You're just looking at what feels good for your future. And all the lovely, interesting ways you can use these skills that we teach on the Sober Coach training. It's very comprehensive. It's very transformational. So check the webinar out. I'll put the link in the show notes, and obviously you can go to thesoberclub.com and click on events, and you can register your place there. So Wednesday, 21st of Jan at 7:30. And as I say, going to be chatting to Gillian in just a moment. Just wanted to mention one other thing. I had a message from Charlene, who listens to the podcast, who's part of LightBulb, and they're doing this fundraising event for a homeless charity in Surrey called the Hope Hub. and this sounds so good. And she asked me if I'd give it a mention, and I'm very happy to do that. It's in Farnham at Berry Court. It's Saturday, 31st of January. I won't be able to go because that's our sober coach training, but otherwise I'd definitely be there because it sounds amazing. It's a silent disco with an Ibiza theme, and it's a sober event. Sounds great. Beautiful venue, Berry Court Barn, and as I say, Ibiza themed house music and alcohol-free drinks. And if you want to go onto Instagram, I'll put the link in the show notes, or you can go to thelightbulb.com/events, but probably best if you just pick it up, the link up from the show notes. Have you quit the booze, loving sobriety, but feeling unfulfilled in the work that you do? Have you been wondering about stepping into a rewarding career, helping the growing number of sober curious people to create a life they don't need to escape from? Join us for a free webinar where you can discover your purpose and find out more about what it means to be an accredited sober coach. Imagine yourself working from anywhere in the world that you choose within 8 weeks of starting this program. Go to thesoberclub.com/events. My guest is Gillian Cockburn. Lovely to see you, Gillian.
Lovely to see you too, Janie.
It's great to see you. I've not seen you in absolutely ages. And Gillian was, I think you were on my very first cohort of this very first sober course, coach
Yeah,
training course I did. Isn't that right?
yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
we go back a long way.
I know. I
Oh,
was just thinking about that this morning and thinking, what was my life like back then? Because I thought, going on that training was a huge step for me. I'd never done anything like that before.
right.
And I thought my life had changed so much to get to that point. And then, a few years later now, I don't know about you, but every year that goes by of sobriety, I think we peel off more
I
layers,
know, absolutely.
right?
Every
Just
year
when you think
something
you get to the
changes and
bottom.
yeah, I know, I know.
Yeah,
Well, that's that thing I always say, it's the gift that keeps on giving, but it's such a naff
absolutely.
phrase. My challenge is still out there for anyone who's got a better one. But it
Yeah,
is
yeah,
true, isn't it? It really is
yeah,
true. So
yeah.
take us back then. Just let's hear a bit about your story from the off. What was life like back when you
Oh,
were drinking?
oh, yeah, it wasn't great. I think like a lot of people, up and down, right? There was times through my life, I started drinking when I was 14 years old. And apart from, having my son, I never stopped. I didn't
Mm,
stop drinking for, until I was 52. I was 52 when I stopped. And yeah, it was up and down. It crept up. Before I stopped completely, it was really kind of escalating quite a lot. But, like everybody else, it was something that I used to cope with, times in your life where, things happened when you're going through loss or
yeah,
just to kind of switch off and numb yourself from life. But
yeah.
then it got to the point that it was just there all the time.
Yeah,
It's
it is
just,
interesting that, isn't it? Because you just pick up on that point. I do think it's really interesting the way that it's only when we quit that we realize that we don't have an awful lot of emotional intelligence or emotional
right,
we're not very good at
management.
adulting, are we? Because all that, as you say, all the big stuff we used alcohol for. We
Yeah,
used it for for love,
yeah,
for grief, for holidays, for celebrations, for commiserations. That's what we used it for. And then, as you so rightly say, then it just becomes what you do all the time. You know.
yes, yeah. And
And the irony is, you were kind of almost set emotionally at the age we were when we first started drinking.
yeah,
So we have an awful lot catching up to do, don't we, when we when we first
right.
quit?
Yeah, yeah, I know it. And in the time of our life then that we should be probably learning how to deal with our emotions, how to manage our emotions is, a time in our life where alcohol, for me anyway, alcohol was always there. It was always the reason or the way to deal with stuff.
Yeah,
Oh God, I need a drink. Oh, let's have a drink. It was just all there all the time.
yeah,
And then when I was 40, I just in my early 40s, there was something started. There was a little whisper in my head that started that was like, okay, I think you maybe need to have a look at this. I think you maybe need to change your relationship with alcohol. Um, but then I didn't know what I know now. We didn't have the sober club at that time, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I'd never heard of yourself or any, well, I'd heard of yourself because I listened to you on the radio before, but like people like Annie Grace and Claire Pooley and stuff. I never had that, right? So all I had was my programming from my childhood, which was that if you can't drink normally, you must have a problem. You're an
yeah.
alcoholic. You're going to be, this is going to be a chain round your neck for the rest of your life. And the idea of that just scared me poopless, right? I just thought,
Yeah,
oh, how can I say that I'm struggling here? Because I just feel like I'm going to be judged. I just feel like people they're gonna put me to the side and say, oh, Gillian's got a problem. Gillian can't hold her drink, as they
yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
And
and that
particularly
just,
being in Scotland, presumably.
well, I lived in Canada at the
Oh, you're
time,
at Canada.
actually.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah, yeah. So I lived there for
Is there
23 years.
as big a drinking scene in Canada, would you say?
No, I think there's it's different cultures. I
Yeah,
think that we came back here and we lived in Edinburgh for a year before we moved up to Aberdeenshire. The day drinking thing was a bit of a shock to the system.
right,
Like just
right.
walking down the streets and people in the middle of a day on a weekday obviously at work, suits
Mm,
and stuff,
mm.
and they're all sitting on at the side of outside the pubs and restaurants or whatever, drinking through the day. That was a wee bit of a culture
Yeah,
shock. But
yeah, yeah.
um, no, I think people drink wherever they are
Yeah,
in the
no,
world.
totally. But
There's
how did you get free then when you finally sort of started to really recognize that something needed to change?
So it was in May 2020. So we were, in the middle of that horrible time of the lockdown and stuff, lockdowns. And I just had, a moment, and it was very random. I didn't pick a day that I was going to stop. We're here in Aberdeenshire, we're on a farm. So we had lambs, we've been lambing, through the springtime. I had a bunch of pet lambs that were just shouting their heads off, waiting for
Mm,
me to go feed them one day. And I had a banging headache
mm,
from the night before. And I just thought, oh my goodness, Gillian, what are you doing? What on earth are you doing? And in that moment, I just stopped and I could visualize what life was going to be like if I took that path and I did nothing.
yeah,
And then I could actually visualize what would happen, what life would be like, what it would look like, feel like if I made a different choice.
mm, mm.
And in that moment, I decided that I wasn't going to drink that day. And, take into account by that time, a bottle of wine a night was nothing to me.
Mm, mm.
That was very, very normal. Um, so, having a day that I didn't drink was a big deal.
Yeah,
Just getting through that one day was actually, just quite scary. And then then the next day, I think I went to bed like after supper time that night just to stop myself from,
yeah,
being
yeah,
tempted. You do what you have to do, right? Just to get through
absolutely.
that.
Going to bed's always a good one.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. And then the next day I thought, okay, maybe I could do today too. And it was just one day after another. And then I think I got to 5 days and I thought, oh my goodness, I haven't done 5 days without alcohol for I don't know how long.
yeah.
And then that became a week and then ten days. And then, I think it was in one of your Zoom meetings that we, at that time,
So you
I,
joined the sober club then, did you?
I did,
Yeah,
but I lurked.
yeah. Ah, okay.
I
You're a
just,
lurker. Yeah, yeah.
I remember coming to the first Zoom, the online Zoom thing, and seeing everybody, and I had my camera off. I couldn't do it because at that time I hadn't even told my husband at that time that I'd
Yeah.
stopped.
Yeah, and
I
I was the
kept it
same when I
well
first
hidden.
stopped. I kept it hidden. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, bizarre. But yeah, carry on.
yeah. So yeah, just the days kept mounting up, and I heard somebody say, don't count down the days. If I'd done dry January or anything before, it was always like, oh, let's just get to the end of this so we can
Yeah,
drink again.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And this time it was like, okay, let's just count up how many days. How could it? And
Yeah.
then
Lovely.
somebody said you can get an app on
Yeah.
your phone and
Lovely. So you
teacups
were
and
sort of naturally focusing on what you were gaining rather than,
oh
that
yeah.
sense of deprivation. That's the thing that
Yeah.
makes the difference, isn't it, really?
Yeah. And the sense of deprivation that it comes in waves, right? It does come. It's like, that thing about, you know, alcohol helps you to switch off and and if you're having a bad day, what do you do? What do you do at the
Mm.
end of the day if you're having a bad day, if you're not having a glass of wine or
Mm.
a bottle of wine, right?
Well, it just even that point, it's interesting, isn't it? Because we now know that it wouldn't help that bad day at all. It's a depressant.
No.
It makes everything worse. But
Yeah.
it's so ingrained in us that that's what we do. Like, oh, I've had an absolutely shit day. Give me a drink. It's so
Yeah.
ingrained in us. We have to
Yeah.
we have to literally flip it. It's so difficult for people, isn't it? Because it literally got to unlearn all this stuff we've learned all of these years, all this stuff that's been drummed into us.
Yes.
We've got to literally
Yeah.
flip it.
Yeah. And I think there's something I didn't realize this at the time, but I think your brain actually is able to learn more that, as you clear, a lot of
Yeah.
people, for myself, I had a really good job in Canada and I worked at a good level. I thought that I was pretty tuned in and,
Mm,
my
mm.
brain was working all right. Oh, nothing like what it does now.
No, no,
The
absolutely.
learning
Yeah, the
and just being
clarity.
able, yeah, just and to have that energy as well.
Yeah,
Not being exhausted all the time. So there is time and there's energy to fill your life and your mind with new learnings and new things and finding out things about you and what you enjoy and what fires you up and what doesn't, what you're passionate about.
yeah,
It just opens up a whole new world
yeah,
to,
exactly. Well, I mean, you're a wonderful example of someone who literally sobriety, being enthusiastic about sobriety has literally led to new purpose and new horizons for you, aren't you? You're a fabulous example of that.
yeah, yeah. I can't, people I think find it difficult to think that for somebody who stopped drinking, who, for me, drinking alcohol was a problem for me. Um, that I now just spend all my time, talking about alcohol and that's just but I think that's the freedom that comes. I think the approach that, I think you and I both have is that this is not a life sentence. This is
Exactly,
this is the beginning.
exactly.
It's like, for my sober date, my 6th of May, it's actually sometimes, in my mind, more important than my birthday to
Yeah,
celebrate.
yeah. It is. It is. It's literally the start of a new life, isn't it? I love that about when we can get enthusiastic about sobriety and we just realize it's when we became who we really are meant to be and without pouring toxic liquid in. It's really special. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
So tell us about so when you came into the training then you say loads changed for you. What was the thing that changed then?
Oh, I think it was probably just that a kind of a boost of confidence.
Mm,
Yes, I'm on the right path. Um, the just the knowing that this is what I want to do. I think you have to do some really quite like as I said earlier, like peeling back the layers.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
I think we have to do the work ourselves before we can work with other people. I'm a
yeah.
great believer in that. And you have to kind of um, nudge yourself towards doing something that maybe makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable
Yeah.
and it's a little bit challenging. But you know what? Put yourself in that situation and see what you're going to get out of it.
Mm,
There's always something learning from experiences like that. And the connection, my
mm.
goodness, like, the group that we had that time was just, I don't know, it was just
Yeah, it's kind of
magical, wasn't it? It
lifelong
was really,
friends, isn't it? But I think you're right. I think people so often do feel start to get excited about what might be there for them when they've quit alcohol, and in whatever field. But the amazing thing is that sobriety really gives you that bravery and that sense
mm,
of being open to what might feel possible. Whereas before, when you have the whatever the dreams are, I really want to write a book, or I want to climb a mountain, or I want to travel the world, or I want to be a coach, or whatever it is. there's
Yeah.
when you're drinking, there's that thing of, oh, yeah, I'll do it when the kids leave home. Oh, I'll do it, in a couple of
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
It's that never get round to it thing when you're drinking, isn't it? 'Cause
Well,
that's
yeah.
exactly what alcohol does. It dampens you down,
Yeah. Yeah. It kills your dreams,
kills your
right?
dreams. It
You know,
totally does.
we have these ideas, dreams in our head that, things that we want to do. Um, and I always had this something inside me that I knew before I thought about stopping drinking.
Yeah,
I knew that there was something, that connection of helping people that was there within me. That's why I became a yoga teacher in the first place. That's why I did my life coach training in the first place,
yeah.
which came before my sobriety training. Um, so that all came, it was all kind of leading up. But the thing that was kind of keeping that down, kind of dulling that energy down of really following that passion, that idea of helping people, was the alcohol. That was
Mm,
the thing that was getting in the way.
mm,
Um, and
yeah.
once I got that out of the way, I thought, oh, this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
This is the
Yeah.
path,
Yeah.
you know?
And when you first quit, what was it like for you in terms of your sort of social situation or friends, family members? Because still, I don't know about you with the clients that you work with, but for me, still, I have clients who that is the big thing that it
Mhm.
has been holding them back. It's like there's a little part of them that's afraid of quitting alcohol because of what's going to happen with their social life, because, whether their friends are going to accept them, whether their family are going to accept them. What
Yeah.
was it like for you personally?
The time when I stopped, it was like we weren't going out. We
Of
weren't
course,
doing
yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
However, that was never my place to drink. My place to drink was always at home.
Right. Okay, interesting. So that's a different
So,
dynamic. Yeah.
yeah, I would, had a social life, but quite often it wouldn't be, yes, there'd be drinking, but it wouldn't be in secret. My drinking, my problem with alcohol came when I was hiding it.
Right, right.
When I was drinking, in secret, yeah, but just kind of nobody was noticing. I was getting
Mm,
by,
mm,
right?
mm.
Um, when we did go out, I remember the first wedding that I ever went to, a family wedding, and I've got a family that, there's drinking going on and goes on in our family. Um, and I remember being very nervous the morning of the wedding, getting all dressed up and getting ready to go and being very nervous and just saying to Steve, my husband, I need your support today.
Mm, mm,
Whatever happens, if I get quizzed about my choices, about not drinking, then I just need you to have my back,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
That was what I needed at the time. I just needed that kind of support because I couldn't leave. I always say to clients, like, what's the plan? If you're going to an
yeah.
event,
Have a
what is the
plan.
plan? What are you
Mm,
taking with you? What's your escape route? Some people leave halfway through an event and then
mm,
come back,
yeah.
just to get a break from it.
Mm. But
But
the
I
interesting
couldn't
thing
do
is
that.
nobody really notices when you do that, do they?
Oh,
We
nobody
think we
cares.
think everyone's going to be fixated on us not drinking. But again,
Yeah.
I've had clients who I'm sure you have too, who say, actually, I was so worried about it and nobody even noticed.
No, no, they don't. They don't. But yeah, going out socially, the first few times, yes, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. It's like you
Mm,
just have a wee bit of butterflies in your stomach and you think, how's
yeah.
this going to be? And whatever. And it's never as bad, I don't think, as you
Never as
think
bad
it's
as you
going to
think.
be.
No, it's true. It's really true.
And as I say, if you plan ahead, if you're feeling like you need to escape, the only thing that I feel that I've gotten kind of drawn into now is being the designated driver.
Oh, knock that on the head.
So if it works out, I'll just say to Steve,
Yeah.
listen, I'm going home. If you've got a way to get home, that's fine. If you want to
Yeah.
come home with me, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
going home. But
Yeah.
it's just, you have to get over those first, the
Yeah.
birthdays, the Christmases, the weddings, the social aspect of it. And then each time you do that, your confidence builds.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, okay, this is actually not as big a deal as my head was making it out to be.
Exactly.
Usually
Exactly
what's
that.
going on in your
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So tell us a bit about the work you do now then. I know you work as a coach, but for a while, were you working with addiction services? Did I get that right?
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
also I do work in the third sector in Aberdeenshire, yeah. So I do
Okay.
that part-time and I also have my own coaching business as well, yeah. So
Just purely because I'm really interested. You don't have to share any confidential information, obviously, but how well do those kind of addiction services work? Because I always wonder, obviously it's not a world that I'm in, but
right.
I just have this absolute wish that there could be more sort of, if you like, joined up thinking across, the whole of the UK,
Mm-hmm.
so that when people need, addiction services in their local community, they know
Hmm.
exactly what they're getting and it's appropriate for them. And so I just wonder, out of interest, is it working, the stuff that you get involved in?
Yes. So in Aberdeenshire, each service or each part of the service works differently depending on where you are in the country, right?
Mm.
So all I could speak to is like what we do in
Your bit. Yeah,
Aberdeenshire,
yeah.
and then my part of Aberdeenshire where I work. Um, I think it's a lot, it depends on the expectation of the person walking in through the door.
Mm, mm.
Um, a lot to do with, are they ready?
Yeah,
If somebody, it's kind of different from, sober coaches, right? So
exactly.
you
Yeah.
have our coaches. When somebody comes to us, they're ready.
Yeah,
They're
exactly. They're investing in themselves. They know that
yes, yes,
they want their life to change. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
It's very different to when I
So
guess a lot of the people you see have been sort of told they've got to attend this. Perhaps they may
that
not even want
happens.
to. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. We see a mix of everything, but the success comes, or where you'll see the most success, or people that are really changing their lives is when they're there because they want to be there.
yeah, yeah. Makes sense,
Um,
doesn't it?
they're willing to think about things maybe in a different way than they did before,
Yeah,
do something different. So maybe they've been through this kind of pattern for quite a while. It's maybe been going on for years. And,
yeah.
just like we did when we stopped drinking, we had to start doing other different things, right?
Mm,
You
mm.
can't keep doing the same thing and getting a different result.
No,
So,
exactly.
people, and that could be hard for people to think, oh, what I did before, actually, yeah, we're not going to try that again. We're
Mm.
going to try something different. And this something different might be tricky to get your head round,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it could be the thing that actually makes the difference.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, when you look at the level of when you look at some of the stats, and the
mhm,
level of money spent on mopping up effectively within the
mhm,
NHS, it's
yeah,
staggering. I mean,
mhm,
it's staggering, isn't it? And that's before you even start to look at, well, hold on a minute, a huge percentage of ill health is either caused or exacerbated by alcohol that doesn't
mhm.
even get attributed to it.
No, I
There
know.
are many
No,
illnesses, aren't there, where people say, "Oh, it's really unfortunate that you've got that illness," but it will have been
yeah,
exacerbated for sure by making yourself more toxic.
yeah,
And that never even gets looked at. But when you recognize that and you look at these stats, there's a little bit of you that thinks, "Oh my God, can we just do more before the horse bolts?" What
yes,
what more
yes,
can we do?
yeah,
And I really think
yeah,
that's where it's just so much more needs to be put into this raising awareness that
yes,
you do not have to wait till you hit rock bottom.
yeah, yeah.
The
And
key, isn't it?
I think that is, yeah, that is the missing piece that we're not focusing so much on the preventative.
Yeah, exactly.
um, that we're waiting until people are in crisis or at
Desperate.
rock
Yeah,
bottom or in hospital
yeah,
or at the other side of the law, the wrong side of the law or whatever.
exactly.
Excuse my French, but the shit is hitting the fan
Exactly, exactly,
before we're actually, saying, okay, well, now we'll intervene and help,
exactly. Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Um, but you know, but even then, if somebody comes to, that part of the help and support is available, then and they are in crisis and they work through some work and some, you know, get into what we call a stable place,
Yes.
then we've got an opportunity then to prevent
Yeah.
that
True.
pattern happening again,
Exactly,
right?
exactly,
So
exactly. So
that's
that
really
is, so it's, so
important.
it is, it's hugely important, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
So it must be really interesting for you doing that. And then
yeah,
and then working as a coach with, as you say, people who are, the lights come on and and they're ready.
yeah,
It might still be difficult, but they're ready. And it's, and this,
yeah,
it is
yeah,
incredibly rewarding work, isn't it?
yeah,
To be able to support someone and encourage them.
yeah.
So tell us about the kind of people that you tend to work with as a coach.
I get a mix of women and men.
Mm.
Um, and some are, sometimes we need to go through a reduction plan.
Yeah.
That happens, if somebody's drinking a lot, then, alongside their, talking to their GP and going through all that, then yes, I can certainly guide somebody through a reduction plan there because, sometimes people don't realize that the amount they're drinking, just stopping is
Yeah.
not an
Yeah,
option.
it's dangerous to stop suddenly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's something I do. So from that spectrum to somebody who, you know what, I've been stopped for a couple of weeks, but I'm feeling a little bit wobbly
Mm,
and I've got a bit of fear here, and I'm going to need some support, to
yeah.
get through the next few months or whatever, then, and anything in between, really.
Yeah. It's
But
rewarding,
yeah,
isn't it? It's incredibly rewarding to be able to, I'm sure you've had people
yes,
say to you, "Oh my God, my life's completely different."
yes, and I think the important thing about our role is as well is to hold that belief in
Yeah.
somebody because
Yeah.
quite
Hold that
often.
vision for them. Yeah.
Quite often they just haven't got that. As we were saying earlier, like I didn't talk to my family or close family or even my friends about stopping drinking because I just didn't believe myself that I could do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So having somebody else believe in you and have that for you, even when they don't have it for themselves, just holding that for them can be really life-changing for
Yeah.
people.
I know.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is
Mm.
rewarding, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then tell us about your course that you have. Is it Unwind?
Unwind,
Yeah.
yes.
Tell us about
So,
that.
so that came about because, when you talk to different clients, and the most common thing that was coming through was, I just don't know how to switch off without
Yeah,
alcohol.
yeah, yeah. Because we've told ourselves the only way we. I mean, that for me, that was exactly it. It was like, oh my
Yeah,
God, such a busy day.
yeah,
I've got kids. I've got work to do. For God's sake, I need to
yeah,
unwind with a glass of wine. Exactly that.
yes.
Yeah,
And then what is the thing that you would like at the end of this process to be, oh, I just want to feel like calm. I just want to feel that sense of peace inside. And and I thought, you know what, I can put this into a course. I can do I can do
yeah,
this. So
yeah,
it's a short course, but it's about how we believe that alcohol is the thing that's going to help us relax
yeah,
and what actually happens in your body and in your mind
yeah,
for that maybe first 20 minutes. And then what happens in the body and the mind and how we try and rebalance,
yeah, yeah,
through that.
yeah,
I talk about breathing, about pausing, about putting in that pause before you make a decision, before you pour, it even goes all the way back to when you go to the shop, to the grocery store, and you're faced with that wine aisle, which is like,
yeah.
two aisles
Forever
these
goes on
days,
forever, doesn't it? Yeah,
right? But just putting in that pause and breathing before you make a decision,
yeah,
you know, Uh,
yeah,
finding that sense of peace before you take action.
yeah,
But it's just about recalibrating your body and rethinking how you live the rest of your life without alcohol because you're going to get stressed, you're going to get
mm,
overwhelmed,
mm,
things are going to get busy, and we need to find healthier ways, healthier coping ways,
yeah.
to deal with all that without relying on something that actually is not going to get you
Totally, totally.
any kind of real sense of peace,
Yeah, I do.
calm.
I think you're so right. It's about being able to pause and to know how to bring ourselves back to a place of balance, isn't it?
Yes.
That's what it all hangs on. And when I think back to when I was drinking, I was such a I was so frenzied all the time.
Hmm.
Everything was a panic, really. Now I think back, I didn't realize it at the time. I thought I was busy and just, maybe a
Yeah.
stressy kind of person. But, I didn't know how to bring myself back to any
Hmm.
kind of balance. So
Hmm.
everything felt like everything was bigger, better, faster, more. Oh, we've arrived, get me the wine straight away. Um,
Yeah.
Terrible, terrible,
Yeah.
frenetic way to live.
And
And
I don't
life is
know.
so much nicer when you can choose. Of course, there are some times when I want to be, really
Yeah.
up, but there are other
Yeah.
times when I need to be able
Yes.
to come back to balance and just take a check on how I actually am doing. And I
Yeah.
think that's the key, isn't it? As you say, to know
Yeah.
how to, well, literally unwind, as your title says, so that we know how to do that without something, that's toxic,
Yeah.
effectively.
Yeah. And I think for myself, it was, I don't know about you, but for myself, I was kind of the same, always on the go.
Mm.
There always had to be something happening to the point where there always had to be some noise in the
Yes, yeah,
background.
yeah, which is why I could
That
never meditate.
because I could not be alone with my
No,
thoughts.
no,
I
me,
didn't want to
absolutely,
hear
me
what was
either.
going on in my
Exactly
head.
that. Because if you did pause long enough, a voice would say, "Stop! What the
Yes.
hell are you doing?" Yeah, it's
And,
really true.
that's a skill that you kind of learn through this
Yeah,
process
yeah,
is not, well, learning that every thought that comes into your mind you don't have to act upon in the first
exactly. And you
instance,
you
right?
can start to trust yourself. I think trust is a big one, isn't
Yes.
it? I think
Yes.
I had a client the other day who was saying that she was she was fearful of a kind of a Christmas party situation that she was going to,
Mhm.
and we were talking it through and sort of saying, well, what is it that you're worried about? And we kind of worked out, well, they've got alcohol-free drinks there. She's getting a taxi, whatever it is. There were all the plans were in place. Actually, the
Yeah.
reality was she was just fearful because she didn't know if she could trust herself yet, which is fair
Yeah.
enough. It's good to
Yeah.
notice that, isn't it? But
Mhm.
that's one of the wonderful things that comes with this. You get to trust yourself. You get to start to like yourself because you're
Mhm.
feeling more authentic, and then you can trust yourself. And that's, God,
Yeah.
it's such a huge thing when you can.
Yeah. I was just this morning I was writing an email to my list and I was reflecting back on the middle of this year I went to a retreat, a women's retreat, and I didn't until like I think it was the day before it popped up on my Facebook or whatever. I didn't know the facilitator. I knew no one who was there, who was going. I didn't know what the agenda was really. I skim read it,
Yeah,
but there
yeah.
was something inside me that said, you need to go to that.
Yeah, yeah, lovely. So you learn to
And
trust your intuition.
oh my
Yes,
goodness, it was one of the
I love that.
highlights of my year.
I love that. That's great. Brilliant.
But just yeah,
Yeah.
just to go with that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant. Well, Gillian, it's fantastic to chat to you. It's really lovely to see all the wonderful things you've created since we first worked together. It really is. It's really exciting. It's brilliant.
Getting
Really
better.
brilliant.
Yeah. Thank you so
So,
much.
yeah, tell us just where we can find your stuff, and obviously I'll put it in the show notes as well.
Yeah, sure. So I kind of hung out quite a bit on Instagram. So at Gillian Sober Coach. And the website is findingnewcoaching.co.uk and the course is /unwind.
Brilliant. We'll pop
Yeah,
that in the show notes. Thanks ever so
thank
much,
you.
Gillian. I hope we get
Thank you
together
so
at some
much.
point. I really, really, really want to come up to Aberdeenshire.
Yes.
I'm going to come
Well,
up
there's
there. I
other
love
new,
Aberdeen. I
a
love
lot.
Aberdeen. You're one of the few places where you've got lovely, thriving stuff going on, and you got the sea. You are so lucky.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
You're so
Yeah.
lucky.
I'll love
Thanks
to
ever
go
so
to you
much,
when you come
Gillian.
up.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Take
See you
care.
soon. Bye now.
Bye.
So, just a reminder, Gillian trained with me some years ago as a sober coach, now doing fabulous stuff. There are so many different ways of using the training that I offer. People do all kinds of stuff. You might end up one-to-one coaching, you might end up running retreats, hosting workshops, events, all kinds of stuff. So, if it's of interest, come down and join our free webinar. It's Wednesday, 21st of January at 7:30. It'd be fantastic to see you there. Just mention as well, by the way, if you're focusing on self-care, which I really hope you are this year, and you can invest in yourself, then 22nd of February 22nd to 23rd of Feb, I'm doing the ultimate self-care retreat at Homefield Grange Spa. It really is a beautiful venue. Go to thesoberclub.com, click on events, and you'll see all of the information there. Look forward to seeing some of you on the webinar. If for no other reason, it's really lovely being in a webinar room with loads of like-minded people. So look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you for listening to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by the Sober Club. Please rate and review. And if you want support, accountability and inspiration, and you want to live your best life without the booze, check out thesoberclub.com.